Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
The truth shall set you free. You can't handle the truth. We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
That's not how the Force works. Oh, really? You're cold?
I'm gonna make him an offer again.
I'd buy that for $1.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Hasta la vista, baby.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Hello and welcome to the Creative Control podcast, and this is our special Shang-Chi Legend of the Ten Rings movie review. Joining me today is Alex and Sacha, who we all saw the movie together last night. There's a group of 9 of us, I think it was in the end. So how you doing, gentlemen?
Well, good. Good to be here.
Good stuff. What have you been up to since last night? Alex, it was your day off, right?
Yeah, not much, mate. It's just,
You caught up on any TVs or movies or anything?
no, nothing yet. I need to watch the latest episode of Ted Lasso, but that will be later on tonight, probably.
Oh, I still haven't watched that series. I've heard really good things about it.
Obviously, as you know, I'm not a football fan, but obviously I'll still watch the show. So yeah, get on it if you can.
All right, I'm going to have to get on that one before he ends up being really spoiled by like TikTok and stuff with all these clips. Sacha, what have you been up
I was
to?
watching First Blood, man.
It's because we talked about it. So, okay. So, no, Sacha's out on the podcast.
I ain't out in shit. I'm saying clearly what I was doing. You're making the song and the dance, but, you know, you can out yourself.
That's fine. So we met for a meal last night before we were going to see the film, and we were talking about I don't even know how I got onto it, but we were talking about Rambo, and I was like, you know what, I'm not actually sure if I've seen each of the Rambo movies separately all the way through. It's like I know chunks of them, but I was like, I don't know if I've actually watched them all. So it's like I said, I will go back and do it now, but I'm sure once I start watching them, I'll probably feel, I have seen this, but it's because they're not movies that I've revisited that often. Because I suppose Rambo wasn't one of my characters. I think at the time I was just more into the Schwarzenegger stuff. I was more into RoboCop and that kind of stuff. So I think just Rambo at the time just didn't do much for me. But I will revisit, and we'll do we'll do a retro review on Rambo. Cool. So we're here to talk about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So this is the it's the second movie after the Endgame point, because obviously after Endgame we had Far From Home, and now we moved into Shang-Chi. So it is set post Endgame era. There's references to the snap in it, and so just Alex, what's your overall first thoughts of the movie?
Excellent. I really enjoyed it. Wasn't expecting it to go in some of the areas it went, just from the trailers, so that surprised me. Can't wait to see what happens with the character moving forward as well, given how things ended, which obviously we won't go into right now. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Just overall initial thoughts was fantastic. Everyone should go check it out. Yeah.
So anyone listening and watching, basically we are going to go into spoilers, but we'll do a separate spoiler section and we'll let you know when that's happening. So at the moment you're sitting in a safe place. It's spoiler free at the moment. Sacha, what was your thoughts on the film?
I thought it was a solid film. I think some hardcore fans of the comics might have a few issues with it because it does deviate from the origin story a little bit, because obviously they've changed certain characters to fit other characters that are within the Marvel lore and stuff. I'll get onto that in terms of spoilers. But as a film, it was good. It was good. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun ride. Has some really funny moments in there, like laugh out loud kind of moments and stuff. And the fighting was okay for a Hollywood action film. For those looking for something that's up there with The Raid, this is not the film. I repeat, this is not the film, but it's an enjoyable film nevertheless. I do think heavily that the trailers did not do this film any justice at all, because I was very critical on the trailers and I thought the trailers looked shit. I stick by that. But the movie itself, I want 2 hours worth of footage and do the Sacha trailer cut of of Shang-Chi to like I feel it needs a decent trailer, man, because Disney need to fire those guys, man.
No, for me as well, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. As Alex said, it became a lot more fantastical in terms of where it went, which I wasn't expecting. Because again, you can understand the power of the rings, and we saw some glimpses of those fight scenes, but where I actually ended up in that third act, I didn't see coming. There's a very nice, really good cameo in it, and again, we'll talk about that in spoilers. And there are 2 post-credit scenes. There's one, just you have a few credits, and then one right at the very, very end. So make sure you do stay, because people were leaving still to this day. I don't understand. But yeah, I thought it was thoroughly enjoyable. I totally get where Sasha's coming from in terms of the trailers. So Sasha has a lot more exposure to like Hong Kong Chinese cinema in terms of martial arts movies. So, I do know my American versions of Jackie Chan. I know the Raid 2, and a couple of others. So when I first saw the trailer, I was like, okay, there's a little bit of fighting in it, but the character is supposed to be the greatest fighter on earth, kind of thing. But that's pretty much all I know of the character. So again, I never read the Shang-Chi comics or anything like that. So I went into this not really knowing about it. I think the only thing I really understood was the fact that they changed the rings in it, because I think in the comics they're actual rings on the fingers. Where they've changed these to bracelets, and I think that is because they didn't want something too close to the Infinity Gauntlet, in terms of being sort of like that glove, in that kind of collection. So, I definitely understood that. But really solid performances all round. I think Simu Liu, he was great. He stepped into these new shoes. When they announced the Shang-Chi movie, he was like on Twitter saying, "Yo, Marvel, let's talk," and they talked. And it was great. Aquafina, she was hilarious. She was fantastic in it. But for me, Tony Leung, he was the movie. Every scene he was in, he just gravitated to him, and he was just flawless in it. Michelle Yeoh was fine and stuff like that. So. And again, I was quite surprised for an American movie how much of it was in Chinese, Mandarin and stuff like that. So because there's a lot more subtitles than maybe I expected. And I think what that really did allow is the authenticity of the actors speaking in their native tongue to provide better performances rather than trying to push English too much. So I think there was definitely some stuff there, like Shang-Chi's mother in it. She only spoke Chinese. So, they didn't cast her based on the English. They cast the person for the role, So, I think in terms of the things I thought was missing, I actually thought Simu Liu, I didn't see enough of him, if that makes sense, because a lot of the movie is setting up the character. So a lot of it is in flashbacks. So you see a lot of Shang-Chi as a kid and then as a teenager, sort of like 14 years old. But in terms of Simu Liu, he didn't actually have that much screen time, which is kind of crazy, except for like the final, action piece. And I did feel like some of the times when he was on screen with Awkwafina's character, Katie, he was repeating her lines. And I know it was supposed to be because they're close friends and they grew up together to show that similarity between. But whenever she's something, so he's like, yeah, and, so what about that? And yeah, why did you presume that? And he kept repeating her lines, which I thought was really strange. So I just don't think he was given enough to really explore his acting in it, but the scenes that he did have were great. Very, very enjoyable, very, very likable on screen. I really did feel like he was performing most of those martial arts himself. I know I've seen a couple of scenes behind where he's trying to do as much of the stunts himself, and I just thought he came across really, really good. He's very believable in that role. And if you look at him, who's supposed to be the best fighter in the world, and you look at the Netflix series, what am I thinking, Sasha? Iron Fist, that's it. Where that fighting was just awful. They took the main character and put somebody in for training for like 2 weeks and then expected him to bring a show together, and you expected him to be believable.
He didn't even do that.
This is what it is.
He didn't even do that, according to the stunt coordinator. He just wanted a stunt double the whole time. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and yeah, really, just really good film. We're setting it at the end. I was thinking very much like, where does it fit in terms of my rankings? So I was like, it's not top tier, but it is up there. I do feel that, and I gave it sort of like an 8.5 out of 10 myself, in terms of my overall, because I just think that, there are some better Marvel movies out there, and just generally, because unfortunately with these movies, you don't just tend to compare them, you tend to compare them to other Marvel movies. But as an introduction to a character, again, I thought they've done really well. So we'll talk about some of the stuff that is in the trailer. So we do have Wong and Abomination in the movie. So your thoughts on those characters coming back?
Just a quick cameo, it's fine.
A nice little cameo type sort of situation, but I don't know if it's a spoiler or not that they're not in it very long.
Yeah. I think Abomination.
It's kind of almost their whole part in the movie to an extent.
Yeah, no, exactly. So Wong appears a couple of times throughout the movie, and I think it's that close ties with Doctor Strange and the mystic arts and the martial arts side and all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of expected. But Abomination was very small. But I think they've got bigger plans for him in the future. Again, without going into too much spoilers. So, what were your guys' thought on Tony Leung's performance?
He's always
and what they did with that character.
Okay, so with Tony Leung, he's always been great. I've followed him since Jackie Chan's Gorgeous. Great martial artist within himself. Obviously, he did the Infernal Affairs trilogy, which is a series of crime films. He's always been more of a dramatic actor that's always done martial arts and stuff. But the best martial arts film, that's always stuck out for me was The Grandmaster, where he plays Ip Man, not to be confused with the Ip Man saga that's ongoing with the great Donnie Yen. But he plays Ip Man in a very different kind of tone, and it's a very different movie, The Grandmaster, compared to the Ip Man saga. So he's always been more of a dramatic actor, and I really felt that he brought it to this role. He was very good as the Mandarin. And to be quite honest, when they said he was going to be the Mandarin, I was always fine with that. And that's because I know his body of work from other films and stuff. I had friends that were like, no, he's wrong. It was like, well, have you ever seen him? No. So it was like, and then they started naming all the other actors that were also very good choices that would have made great Mandarins. But I'm like, you don't know Tony Leung. He's not some nobody out in China and Orient, man. This guy's like their Al Pacino. Like, he's fucking.
Yeah, he's got acting chops. And that's why Marvel wanted him, because they wanted the gravitas of a decent performance, a dramatic performance, because he's not, he's not the out and out villain at this movie. He's someone in conflict. He's someone in pain, which Marvel does well with their characters. And this is about a father-son, relationship, and that's what's at the heart of it. And, his intentions and reasons for why he's doing certain things, up to a point, you see, is very much his ego. He does a shift in the movie, and then, it plays out, and then he kind of shifts again. But that second shift is because of, heartache, or whatever it is. So again, trying not to go into spoilers. So it's really hard to get a non-spoiler review.
Is this a spoiler review, or is this do we have a?
No, we're going to go into spoilers.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, we're going to go into spoilers in a minute. But I want to just give everybody a chance to say, this is what we thought, and I think we all agree, go see this. And I think it's really something that you should go see in the cinema. I will probably go back and watch it a second time in the cinema. I think it definitely does that, and I will try and watch it in IMAX, because the whole movie was filmed in IMAX, which is like 26% more or something. So I do want to see that bigger screen. So I will go back and revisit it. Is it the kind of movie that you go back and see a second time at the cinema, or do you kind of feel like, I'm good with it now and I can just wait to see it?
No, I think I would definitely go back for a second viewing. Especially like that third act is, big epic fantasy stuff that sort of deserves the big screen. I'd definitely go back for a second viewing for sure.
Yeah, because I think there's like a 45-day exclusive cinema, and then it's going to appear on Disney Plus as a Prime Access, like Premier Access. So this is again another one of their films which they're trying something like they did with Black Widow. It was like a 2-day gap. This is like a 45-day gap, which makes so much more sense. I would just urge people, go out to the cinema and go see this movie. And Sacha said there's actually quite a bit of humor in it, and there was some bits because Sacha and I were sitting next together. There was parts where we were really laughing out loud. It was just there's some really good comic timing in this.
Well,
because I don't think people maybe appreciate like Simu Liu because he has got great acting chops anyway from a comedian point of view.
I mean, like, totally. I mean, like, I've known him before from Kim's Convenience, which is a Canadian show. It's on Netflix. A lot of people probably aren't aware of it, but it's a very good hidden gem if you check it out on Netflix. Great show.
I did on your recommendation, and I've been binge watching it. It's fantastic. Yeah, really funny.
Yeah, and that's just it. I mean, like, I guess originally he was more of a comedic actor, and it's on full force here. Not that this is an all-out comedy. There's a lot of drama to it as well. But I really felt he was a fantastic choice for Shang-Chi because, you know, he's not known for martial arts, but then not that many people know who he is. It was a good character to introduce the world someone new that isn't a martial arts star from Hong Kong. So yeah, it was really good opportunity for a new person to step into those shoes, I felt. So yeah.
And, you know, I think, you know, there's been a lot of praise online for like the diversity of the cast, you know, very much similar how Black Panther and what that did for representation. This has done the same. And, you know, I congratulate Marvel on that. And, you know, it's always a tricky line as a business to tread, you know, because you want to try and appear to all markets. You want to try and please the American fan base. You want to appease the Chinese fan base and Europeans. You know, it's really, really difficult. And I think, you know, this movie was handled with a lot of care. And I think, you know, those people who feel much more represented on screen in terms of superheroes and those like action characters are really happy with it. And that's great to see, because what you don't want to see is people saying, that's not me, that's misrepresented. Do you know what I mean? So that's really comforting to see. Okay, so let's start going into some spoilers, because it's where some of the fun happens. So spoiler alert. Yeah, there'll be something on the screen here saying spoilers. And then I'll I'll kind of let you know when we're finished from the video point of view. But if you're listening, there won't be probably too much to add now. It's going into spoiler territory. But one of the biggest one was Trevor Slattery coming back. So the OG Mandarin. I thought this was fantastic. It leans obviously in. One of the big dividing points of Iron Man 3 was the fact of how people felt the Mandarin was done, because all the trailers made you believe, you know, Ben Kingsley's he's the Mandarin. He seemed brilliant. He was like menacing throughout the film. And then obviously it's like turns out to be Killian and he's this actor. So to have him reprise that in this. So basically what happens is at the end of Iron Man 3, Trevor goes to prison, and there's a Marvel one-shot where he gets broken out of prison by the real Mandarin. And basically what has happened is he has been taken captive by the Mandarin, Shang-Chi's father, and he's kind of in his prison compound. And when Shang-Chi and Katie and, again, spoilers, Shang-Chi's sister, who plays quite a big role in this movie as well, they get captured, they go into his prison, and down in the cells is Trevor Slattery, and he's basically does performances for the Ten Rings. And, you know, it was spot on. It was fantastic. But he explains it. Shang-Chi's father kind of explains it, and he explains the name and why that happened and how they took it. You know, he says, I've been known by many names. I thought they dealt with that really, really well. And Ben Kingsley, he's then all the way through the third act, which I did not expect. Yeah. I thought he was just going to be in that prison, say hello, say my piece. But he takes Shang-Chi and his sister and Katie to this sort of like alternate world, basically through a portal. He's befriended this creature that they've captured previously, which is like this weird dog unicorn crossover thing, and only he can understand it, and it's hilarious. It's really funny. But yeah, he plays it all the way through. What do you guys think of seeing him come back?
Same as you, mate. I thought it was going to be okay. He pops up, sort of, you know, so Marvel can address the whole, okay, yeah, this is what happened in Iron Man. We're moving on from that now, but you know, this is how it's linked, blah blah blah, and you know, we're sort of say goodbye to him. But yeah, the fact that he sort of carried on through the rest of the movie, and was just as funny as he's kind of always been in that role of Trevor. Even though I thought he was excellent when he was playing the role of the actual Mandarin in Iron Man 3. I thought he was menacing and you know, it was really good.
Good accent. Trevor's a good actor.
Trevor is just hilarious, and yeah, the fact that he carried on literally all the way through to the end was like I just was not expecting. And yeah,
and in the final fight, he's there, and basically you got this little creature going up to him, thinking, "Oh my god, Trevor's dead," and he's just like, "Shh, I'm acting as a role," you know, and it's just like dead. I was just like, it's brilliant, just so good. Sacha, what were your thoughts on seeing Ben Kingsley back?
Yeah, it was great, man. I think you guys have said everything that needs to be said there, but he gave the most laughs in it. I hope to see him more in the MCU, to be fair. Just being some random dude. Hey, maybe you can show up in a Spider-Man film with Mary Jane acting. I don't know.
acting.
Yeah.
So, Sacha, you're a bit more familiar with the comics, and Alex, you might be as well. But who is the dragon in Shang-Chi? In terms from the comics and what we kind of saw.
Fin Fang Foom is the name of the dragon. I do know in the comics, Fin Fang Foom actually speaks and stuff. Mm-hmm. So, but what was really weird, I swear they said Fin Fang Foom was not going to be in it. So I didn't expect it to be in it. It wasn't in the trailers or anything. So when the dragon came, I was like, oh shit, okay, I thought that wasn't in it. But okay, cool. So it didn't throw me off guard because I know that kind of stuff exists in that world and stuff. So when that stuff happened, I was like, okay, cool, I'm in. You know what I mean? Like not that I wasn't before. I think the biggest changes really is the fact that the Mandarin is not his dad. You know, that's the Mandarin. They fought each other, but it's not. You know, they fought each other, and he is a villain within Shang-Chi's world. But Shang-Chi's father was what's the guy? Fu Manchu. Fu Manchu's. Right, okay, so basically the whole thing with Shang-Chi, when they were making Shang-Chi, Stan Lee didn't make Shang-Chi, some other guys did. They watched David Carradine's Kung Fu, and they watched Enter the Dragon. They were like, we need something like this for Marvel. So they went to they went to the heads of Marvel licensing at the time and said, hey, can we do a comic book adaptation of Kung Fu? And they were like, well, that's with Warner Brothers, and they just bought DC, so that's not going to fly. But maybe you could do something with Fu Manchu. And then they made Fu Manchu the villain. They created Shang-Chi. They made him the son. They gave him a daughter. And it's basically the same kind of storyline. You know what I mean? Like where because Fu Manchu's always been like a villain from literature, kind of like Dracula with Blade and stuff, you know what I mean? So it was just creative licensing, you know? So they were like, cool, let's do this Fu Manchu thing. So obviously the thing is with Fu Manchu is out in Asia, you know, the Chinese don't really like Fu Manchu, kind of, you know, it was written by a Brit. It was a lot of racial stereotypes and stuff like that. So Marvel were just like, fuck it. Well, we have the Mandarin, and he's more or less the same kind of villain. So, you know, they decided to do the Mandarin a little bit more properly with Tony Leung. And to be honest, the Mandarin having a son and a daughter kind of gave him a lot more depth, I felt, rather than just being
I can understand that. So in their marketing of this, you know, they've tried to say, you know, they're rather trying to recognize, you know, there was a lot of racial stereotypes in those comics and stuff like that, and what they're doing now is very different to make sure that you know, their market, you know, appreciates it. So going into some other bits, so we'll talk about the post-credit scene. So the first post-credit scene we have is Shang-Chi and Katie. They're taken by Wong to go basically learn more about the rings, and we have dialing in via hologram Captain Marvel and Dr. Bruce Banner. So this for me, it was very much a surprise to see Mark Ruffalo as Dr. Banner. So he was not Professor Hulk, as we saw him at the in Endgame. However, his arm was still in a sling, which Hulk's arm was at the end of Endgame because he did the original snap. So it was kind of like, well, what's happened here? It was very strange. You know, so we had Captain Marvel there. I think that was very much just a case of just a reminder to people that she's still there, that she's going to be kind of one of their key things going forward. She didn't bring much to the scene in that sense. So she was there, asked a question, then left, you know. So, but yeah, it's just to say, yeah, you know, the Marvels, they're on their way. and we're going to have the Miss Marvel TV series. So we kind of theorized a little bit after the movie, what's happened to him, and I think the general consensus is this is probably going to be explained in the She-Hulk series, which has been filming. So we know that Mark Ruffalo's in the series, and it could go. It could be a number of different factors. So it could be that he's either split himself from the Hulk, so we have Hulk as a separate entity and Banner as a separate entity. It could be that it creates by he's done something. I think in the original comics it was like a transfusion that he had to give to She-Hulk, who is his cousin in it, Bruce's cousin. And they do a transfusion. That's how she gets the gamma blood. And is it a case of there is like a blood transfusion type of thing going on? And because of how much radiation he's taken out of his blood, he can't keep that happy medium that he had before. So he now then goes back to Banner and then rages up to be the Hulk. So there's probably several different factors, but I'd imagine that's going to be where it's explained, right? Because we don't know when the Hulk's going to be appearing in an actual another movie.
Yeah, probably. I didn't think that deeply into it, but yeah, whenever She-Hulk comes, I'll watch it. I'm not up for fan theories, man. Fan theories spoil fucking movies. That's what I say. So
we've been talking about Spider-Man like for the last year in terms of theories.
Yeah, but the difference is, I'm cool with whichever path they take Spider-Man, whereas some people are passionate that they don't take a course of action. So I'm like, all right, cool. Well, whatever it is. It is, you know what I mean? Like, look, with Spider-Man, I'm happy for it to just be a Kraven the Hunter movie or Villain of the Week movie, and then Spider-Man saves the day and goes home to Aunt May. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a big crossover event for me, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm not against it. So, do you know what I mean? Either way, as a Spider-Man fan, I'm going to enjoy it anyway. So, but I know there are other people that probably don't want it to be a Villain of the Week kind of thing because... You know what I mean? That's all we've got for years. They want something a little bit more special, whatnot. But, I'm just,
So then obviously we have the final post-credit scene where we see Shang-Chi's sister. So Shang-Chi says that, his sister's, deconstructing the father's business, getting rid of the compound and everything like that. We go and we find their sister's now taken over as leader of the Ten Rings. And if anything, she's upped it. She's modernized it. She's put solar panels on the roof and, aerials and antennas and stuff like that to make, go multi-modern with technology and stuff. Yeah. So, and right at the end it says the Ten Rings will be back. So, whether that plays into another film or whether it's setting up Shang-Chi 2, who knows? But having seen a kind of father-son confrontation, do we want to see now a brother-sister one? Is that not feel a bit repetitive if they went down that route?
In the comics, she is one of his big bads. She's like the Cursed Lotus. Okay. So, but the thing is, she's not in charge of the Ten Rings. She has her own kind of like setup kind of thing. This is where fans might have a problem because you see, the thing is, it's kind of like essentially they've made the Mandarin a female kind of thing. So you're going to get that mob just be like, oh, this is fucking... But at the same time, it's not that dissimilar to what her character would do anyway. However, at the same time, the Mandarin is one of the big bads of the MCU. Not like Thanos level bad, but like more like Norman Osborn born bad, if you know what I mean. And a lot of people love the Mandarin from the Iron Man series. And... he's more Iron Man's big bad. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people were clamoring for, that. I know Jon Favreau was. That's why he set up in the fucking first place. So, a lot of people are probably going to be a little bit disappointed with that. Especially that she's taken over, and especially since Tony Leung has done really, really phenomenally well with the first film. Because, Marvel's synonymous with their fake deaths. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure he's pretty dead in this movie. But, however, I will do a fan theory, which I know is completely false and fake. So don't take this as a thing. I honestly do think this is my want that will never happen. Okay, and I'm totally aware it'll never happen.
That's what we do at Creative Control. So go on.
Okay, my want is all right. Here's the thing: when Jon Favreau was in charge of Iron Man, okay, I really lapped up and bought into his vision of what Iron Man would have been, kind of thing. Ever since 2006, when he was at the Comic-Con and talked about his plans for an Iron Man trilogy that never got fulfilled. I want someday down the road for RDJ to come back, and not necessarily come back in a future film. Maybe he'll come back as a hologram, but I wouldn't want him to come back as Tony Stark from another dimension, because I think you cheapen Endgame. I think that was the death.
Agreed.
I personally think give Favreau his trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, set during Phase 2 and 3, kind of thing. End of Phase 2, Phase 3. Have them cross over. You know, if you want to bring back one of the old Avengers, you can do that. If you want to set up something in the MCU with characters we've not seen before, maybe an X-Man, maybe Fantastic Four prior their movies.
So you can show that they're in the universe beforehand.
Show that they're in the universe beforehand. Do something special with it if you're going to bring him back. But at the same time, with what they set up in Iron Man 3, show the Mandarin. Build him up for that last film. Because this is the thing with Iron Man. Iron Man as a trilogy is not a strong trilogy. But Iron Man 1 was a very strong Marvel film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you look at the...
Still one of the top
one of the top ones, easily. Now, I personally enjoyed Iron Man 2, and I really enjoyed Iron Man 3, despite acknowledging it wasn't, you know, what the fans wanted, etc. But then I always held out hope for Iron Man 4 that maybe they'll play up on that Mandarin thing. So I say bring back Tony Long as the Mandarin. You know what I mean? Bring in some Iron Man classic villains and give us a trilogy. Give us a trilogy. Fuck it. If RDJ doesn't want to spend too much time, year off your life, man. Film them back to back, man, and just do it. Just do it. And then
it's not about shouting. You know, I mean, it could go two ways. They could do that because they've shown with Black Widow they're happy to go back.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So they're happy to do something, you know, prior. And I suppose, you know, it's not going to take anything away because it's not going to change Tony's journey to Endgame, you know, by having that power with the Mandarin. So that's absolutely fine. However, obviously, your other option is obviously multiverse. But like you say, but then it's not the RDJ we know. Yeah. So therefore, are we going to feel we're enjoying it as much?
Yeah, exactly.
So I totally get it.
So that's what I would do personally. That way, people that felt shortchanged with the man, because fucking hell, Tony Long was fantastic, man. He was so good. Totally. But
maybe the only way they could get him was the fact that it was one movie.
Probably. But I mean, you know, with the daughter, I could see why people would get mad. Do you know what I mean? Mandarin fans might get mad. But then who knows? It might not be a mantle. Well, it can't be because he lives forever, you know, he's like forever living and whatnot. But at the same time, she might just be playing her character as the Cursed Lotus anyway. You know what I mean? We're just, but from that end cutscene, I could see why people would come to the assumption. Now, but either way, like I said before, that doesn't take away from what the movie was. The movie was great. You know what I mean? My only complaint is, as a fucking martial arts fan, I wanted more of a fucking hand-to-hand combat with him and the Mandarin at the end. Before it went special effects heavy, I just wanted like more. Yeah,
I get what you mean. I agree. I would like to see more hand-on-hand combat than it just relying on the rings and the powers and stuff like that. Some close quarter stuff that would have.
That would have been cool.
But in terms of the fighting, when we do get to the third act, we do see quite a bit of sort of like that Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon kind of element to the fighting and stuff like that, which was great, you know. And then so basically Shang-Chi goes on this journey from his father drilling him to be, you know, take pain and tolerance and stuff like that, his mother teaching him a different way, and then him finding his own happy medium, you know. And you know, so the combination of the both sides of it. So I just really liked the journey. You know, I thought the journey of the character was great. So I'm happy to wrap it up there. You know, we've hit the high notes. The key parts of Shang-Chi, I think the main thing is for us is go see this movie. It is great. Whether you thought the trailer didn't show you enough, the trailer shows you very, very little. And in one sense, the trailers that were released were good because there was so much more to this movie than what the trailer showed. Totally. So I felt so much more surprised going into it. However, from a fighting martial arts point of view, the trailer was cut fairly badly. So you felt, this seems like really watered down. But if they just took a few extra shots of some other fighting stuff, it could have just changed the dynamic of you going in there. But the fact that they kept that whole second half of the movie hidden, it was fantastic. And that's why, I haven't felt that surprised and enjoyed in a movie for quite a while, because the trailers didn't spoil it all. So, yeah. Cool. Any final thoughts from you guys?
No, I think you guys have echoed most of what I was going to say. Going back to that post-credit scene, the second one, I did quite like the fact that the daughter's now, even throughout the whole movie, you could kind of see that, as opposed to Shang-Chi, who sort of like ran away and wanted to get far away from his father, she kind of almost wanted to be the son of the family sort of thing, So the fact that she couldn't train, when she was a kid and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of made perfect sense to me that, okay, well, now that he's gone, she will now take everything that essentially, had she been born a boy kind of thing, would have been hers kind of thing. So I was quite interested to see that turn, and be interested to see where it goes in the future. Cool.
And what rating would you give it out of 10?
I'd probably go similar to what I think you said earlier, Ken. Sort of 8.5. I think
8.5. Yeah, cool. Sasha, with final thoughts?
Solid 8. Mainly because, like, if you want to win that 10 or 9, I need more kung fu. But but no, solid 8. Really enjoyed it. Surpassed my expectations, definitely. Trailers don't do this thing justice. Who knows? Maybe I'll get bored and make a Shang-Chi trailer. So we'll see.
Ooh, yeah, the Alari cut. Okay, I like it. All right. Well, thanks very much for listening to this bonus episode of the Creative Control podcast. You can see all our movie reviews on YouTube and on our podcast platforms, and you can check out all our weekly, bi-weekly episodes on, again, YouTube and all the major podcast platforms. You'll be seeing fancy digital screens on here at the moment, and if you're listening, just go search Creative Control Movie Podcast wherever you get your podcast from. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time today. Much appreciated. So signing off. Until next time. Peace.
Yeah. Okay.